How's it going, everyone? I'm Sean and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to have a chat about another one of these great mysteries of guitar building. One that really gets people all twisted up and all stumbled. That is guitar neck angle. This is a topic that confuses a lot of people, but I promise you it's not that difficult and you are almost certainly overthinking the whole thing. So grab yourself a nice hot cup of tea, coffee, whatever you want. Get comfortable and enjoy. Okay, so neck angle. What is it? Why do I need it? And why should I care? Essentially, I'm going to get some visual props for this. We take a guitar, you put it on its side and you look at it. The neck angle is, as it sounds, it is the angle that the neck is meeting the body. On some of them, this one currently, the neck is flat to the body. If you were to take a line from this fretboard and draw it straight past here, it would be parallel to the top surface of this body. If you were to take a different guitar, for example, this one, and look at it from the side, the neck is angled back ever so slightly. What that does is it projects the strings a little bit higher as it goes. So why do we need this? Why do we need to care about it? And why do some guitars have it and some don't? Simply speaking, it's to do with the height of the bridge, the actual physical bridge and how tall it is. For example, this guitar is having this bridge, which is a hardtail style, kind of standard enough bass bridge. So to find the height of this bridge, I'm first of all going to take one of the middle saddles and I'm going to lower it down all the way using the screws. I'm then going to get my ruler, going to measure, the base plate is 3 millimeters, important to remember that, and the bridge saddle from the point of the base plate to the top of the saddle where the string makes contact, that is 9 millimeters. 3 plus 9, 12 millimeters. So we would call this a 12 mil tall bridge. Now, that is important because when it comes to the height on the guitar, this is 12 millimeters tall with it slammed right to the bottom. We do not want that. We absolutely don't want that. It gives us no room to lower the action. So we're going to aim on this one for about 13.5 millimeters. That's giving me 1.5 millimeters of play. So that if we get this 100% correctly right, we put strings on it, that saddle, to get us good action here, should have a gap of 1.5 millimeters underneath the saddle, between the saddle and the base plate. I hope that makes sense. Essentially, we adjust the saddle 1.5 millimeters higher, and that is where we should get it. We do not want to set it to 12 millimeters, which is our measured height, because then the saddle will be slammed down, and if there is any error or any wiggle room needed, we don't have it. So remember that number, 13.5 millimeters. It's the number we're going to use, and when I reference it, I want you guys to know where I've pulled it from. It's essentially height of the bridge plus 1.5 millimeters for adjustment. That's it. Now we need to figure out, based on that bridge height, do we need a neck angle? And there is a way of calculating whether or not we need it. So to figure out if we need an angle, in fact, what we need to figure out first is how to get no angle on this. To get no angle, what we need to do is we need to have the height of the bridge here, which we have said is 13.5 millimeters. We must have that bridge height equal here. So at the top of our frets, right here, are 13.5 millimeters from the top of the guitar body. To do that, we are going to adjust what's called the reveal, which is, you can hopefully see right here, the gap underneath the fretboard. So a little bit of maths really quick here. We have our fretboard, which is at the middle, is 6.5 millimeters tall. And we're going to add on 2 millimeters for the frets and for a little bit of action above the frets. So altogether, Our frets plus our fretboard plus a little bit of room for action is 8.5 millimeters. This is specific for my guitars because I build them with a 6.5 millimeter fretboard. Okay, so our mats. We have our bridge height of 13.5 millimeters. We have our fretboard, 6.5. Our frets are 2, giving us our total of 8.5. To make these two numbers equal, I've added 5 millimeters of a reveal to give us 13.5. That would mean this gap under here would need to be 5 millimeters tall to give us a straight line from the frets to the top of our bridge. To me, that is an unacceptable amount. Therefore, I need to angle this neck. This is the mats for specifically this bridge. If we looked at other examples, for example, a Goto hardtail Strat style bridge is 10.5 millimeters tall. If we use the same mats, we have our fretboard at 6.5, we have our frets in action at 2, 8.5, you add 2 mil of reveal onto that to get 10.5, which is the same height as our bridge. 2 mil of reveal is perfectly fine, therefore you would not need to use an angle on this. To get reveal, of course, what we do is we measure the height of our neck heel and then route the neck pocket to the correct depth to give us the correct amount of reveal. In this case, my neck heel is 20 millimeters thick. If I was putting a Strat style bridge on this, therefore I need 2 millimeters of reveal, I would route the neck pocket 20 minus 2 millimeters for our reveal, 18 millimeters. That is going to give me a 0 neck angle that works perfectly well for that style of bridge. As I just went over, for this bridge, I would need 5 millimeters of reveal. That is too much reveal for me. It will look bad. I can do that. It will work fine, but personally, it will not look quite right. Taking some other classic examples, you have a trem style bridge. Off the top of my head, they're usually about 14 millimeters tall. So if I was doing it, I would be putting an angle on that neck. That is why you find a lot of classic Fender style guitars. If you looked at them, they have about 4 millimeters of reveal, which if you follow our mats is not enough. That's why a lot of Fender style guitars need shims in their neck. A shim will effectively change the angle of the neck, and that will allow you to get proper action that is acceptable. Another classic example is the Tune-o-matic. If you measure Tune-o-matic in the center, it is about 15 millimeters tall. That requires quite a large reveal of 6.5 millimeters, which will not look good, essentially. That is why when doing a Tune-o-matic, you need a neck angle. Now, what is the angle? I have no idea. And frankly, it does not matter. Once you've figured out if you need a neck angle or not, the next step is to figure out effectively how are you going to do it. And you have a couple of options. You have two broad options for putting an angle in the neck. That is A, put the angle into the body, as in the neck pocket, do an angled neck pocket or something similar. Or B, put the angle into the heel of the neck. That is, remove material from this front edge so that when seated, it will angle itself. Your first option, potentially one of the easiest options. All you need is a hand plane. What you would do is you would make a spacer block that is the same height as the reveal that you measured. So again, if we take a Tune-o-matic, for example, 15 millimeters tall, I would want my fretboard to have 0 reveal. Therefore, the fretboard on the surface of the top. As we said earlier, the difference between that, you have 15 millimeter tall bridge and an 8.5 millimeter at the neck is effectively. That is 6.5 for the fretboard, 2 millimeters for the frets in action. The difference between those is 6.5 millimeters. I would make a block 6.5 millimeters tall, which I would then stick whatever way with super glue masking tape to the surface of the guitar at the scale line. You can then take a hand plane. I would use a number 7. You can imagine this pen right here is my spacer block. You put the 7 down like this. The spacer block is effectively raising the back of the plane, creating the angle that you need. Once you have that, you would plane away until you have an area large enough to stick down your template to route your neck pocket. If you are, of course, using templates. Whatever your favorite method is, you plane until you are able to do that method. That is effectively, take your body, you plane an angle into the body, there you go. That is perfectly doable on a carved top instrument. But if you've got a flat top instrument like this, I can't just go ahead and plane away a bunch of the front of the body. It'll look awful. The second method of getting an angle into this body, more specifically for a flat top, would be to angle the template or angle the router that you are using to create the neck pocket. A couple of different ways of doing this. You can come up with your own. One way would be to, again, put that spacer block that we made earlier where the scale length is. And if you have a pre-made neck pocket template, you stick that on so that the back end of it is raised up on this block. That is going to angle the whole template, and then your pocket will go in at that angle. What I would usually use is a tapered wedge like this, which I can stick down to the guitar and use that. That will taper the whole thing pretty much correctly to what I need. You may need to get inventive with this, but just remember you do not need to be exact with this angle. As long as you get it into the ballpark, you should always be adjusting by hand after the fact. So for the routing, get it as close as you can, but don't worry too much about getting it exact. And the last method that I would use is actually the method that I'm using with this build. And that is to put all of the angle into the neck heel itself. What that means is I have routed this pocket square, 90 degrees, it's all flat. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a hand plane to remove material from this front portion of the neck heel, which is effectively going to make it thinner here than it is here, and angle the neck. I can use that then to fine tune and get the height at the bridge perfectly correct. I would recommend this style for anything that doesn't need too much adjustment. Next up, after you have your neck pocket, whatever way you want, you need to just double check. You need to make sure that you have gotten the angle correct. We're not going to use any protractors. We're not going to use any angle finding jigs or anything like that. All we're going to do, take the neck, place it in the neck pocket, make sure it's firmly and properly seated, and then we're going to use a straight edge placed on the frets, and I'm going to measure the height of the gap at the scale line. In this case, my gap is now 11 millimeters tall. As I said earlier, the bridge for this guitar needs 13.5 millimeters. So I need to raise that gap by 2.5 millimeters. As I mentioned earlier, how I'm going to do that, taking material off the front portion of the neck heel. That will angle it a little bit. It'll get me where I want to be there. We'll all be happy. Now with the neck in the vise here, hand plane, and I'm going to concentrate on the front portion, try and take off more material there. But of course I need to then flatten the whole heel. So I will take some off the front portion and then flatten it. There are, of course, a couple of things you need to be aware of as you do this. One is making sure you take it evenly. Making sure that you don't take too much off one side as opposed to the other, which will make the whole pocket go sideways, and mainly it won't look right, because if your neck pocket is good, it'll actually keep it vertical, but you will get a gap underneath. I always advise do a little bit at a time and then check. Stuff like this, you need to constantly keep checking with it. And that is actually it. I got it bang on first time, which is brilliant. It is now measuring 13.5 millimeters at the bridge area. And I'm happy with it. That was it. It was simply a case of taking a bit of material off this front portion here, which then effectively changed the angle on the neck. You could also achieve a similar thing by putting a shim towards the back of the neck pocket, but I do not like shims unless they are done properly, as in full length that match the neck pocket pretty much as close to perfect as possible. I think they're a bad thing. I have seen where, since the shim is in there, it can compress and kind of, it does funny things to the back of the neck here, where it can actually be straight here and then you have this weird lump or inverted lump where the shim was, which actually pushes up those last couple of frets and you'll get really bad buzz. I have seen that happen on admittedly older vintage guitars, so ones that have had shims in for quite a long time. But because of that, I think they are bad practice. But of course, if you've got a finished guitar, shims are your only option. But I absolutely recommend find some proper shims, find or make them, ones that are the full length of the neck pocket. But in essence, that is how to adjust the angle of your neck. Start off by getting it close enough with the actual routing. Finish it off then with a hand plane, taking material from there. And that is it. It is not as complex, I hope, as people have thought. Hopefully I haven't confused you more by throwing more and more numbers at you. But essentially, the reason that you need a neck angle is to get the correct height. When I put the neck in, to get the correct height at the bridge, following kind of the line of the frets. That's it. And I have no idea what angle this is. No idea at all. And I really don't care. I don't care if this is a 3.5 or a 4 degree angle. Because in essence, it doesn't matter. So long as that number is correct back here, that's all we want. And that is it. That is neck angles. I hope that all made sense to most people. If you need any further clarification or anything, please head down to the comment section, leave a comment. I will respond best I can in the limited format that typing affords. Hopefully this did make sense. Hopefully you learned things and can now better understand neck angles, what they are, why we need them, and how to adjust them. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to hit like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, all of that good stuff. Check out some of my other videos, which are full of tips and tricks and hopefully will help you to build better guitars as well. If you want to go that extra step, support me that little bit more, consider checking out my merch or some little things I make to sell as well. I have links down below for all of that stuff. But thank you so much everyone for watching. I'll see you all again real soon.